Welcome to the Kam Johal show. You join us today in the studio in West Bromwich, and my guest today has a very, very unusual business, which we don't usually associate with men especially, but here he is to share his own story. So without further ado, my guest, Paz Heer.
Thank you.
Welcome, Paz.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So tell us what it is that you do.
I pretty much make cakes. That's what I do. I decorate cakes, I bake cakes, and I've been doing it for 12 years now.
So you're a cake maker or a cake baker?
Both. But a cake maker, I prefer.
Okay.
Yeah, because a cake baker suggests that you don't. All you do is just bake and not decorate.
And it's your own business?
It is, yes.
Yeah,
yeah,
so it's a fully fledged, it's not a hobby, it's not something that you've done at the weekends?
No, it's been a full-time business for, like I said, 12 years now, yeah.
Okay. Right, so we'll get to the cake baking and everything. So tell us about you. You're a family man, you live locally?
Live, yes, locally from Essington, Wolverhampton. Got a 4-year-old.
Okay.
Yeah, love him to bits. My best creation, I always say. So,
wow,
yeah.
That's nice. Yeah. Okay, so you've lived locally and went to university?
I did. I went to university in London, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, and I loved that experience. Absolutely loved it, but for some reason, I just couldn't see myself living in London long term.
Okay.
I think I liked the pace as a student, but as a worker, I don't think I'd want to be living in London working.
So you came back home?
Came back home.
What did you do? What did you graduate in?
Marketing and retail management.
Okay.
Yeah, so I could take some of those skills definitely into.
So kind of related.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, definitely.
But and were you ever interested in baking? And did you make Victoria sandwiches at home?
None whatsoever. I think just in home economics classes, we've done the odd cupcakes, but honestly, no cooking, no baking whatsoever. The only thing I've baked ever was lasagna at uni and pasta at uni. Other than that,
okay. I hope you don't put that in your cakes.
No. Well, if they ask for it, I'll put it in.
So how did that business come about? Because we're talking about ordinary people doing extraordinary things, and it's obviously a very alternative business for especially our community to be in.
Yeah.
You'd expect girls to go into that kind of business. So it's really refreshing. And you must have had some really good experiences of shocking people.
Yeah, good and bad, yeah.
Yeah. So tell me where the business started from.
So I was working after university. I got a full-time job. There wasn't many jobs available. I just got a job in BT. And I was climbing up the ladder, became team leader, covering manager. And it was going well. I couldn't fault it. I liked the job. It was nothing to do with my degree, but it was a job. It paid the bills and life was good. But then the previous owners of the AB Cakes, they had looked to sell their business years and years ago, and they approached my mum. But at the time when my mum was approached, she couldn't take it on because we were all at university. So years have passed and I'm in my job now, and then she gets another phone call saying, look, we still want to sell the business. They want to give it to my mum. They ideally wanted it to go into good hands.
Okay.
And then my mum said, okay, should we give it a go? We sat down, had a family meeting, and I always wanted my own business.
Right.
So for me, that was the driving force. I didn't really care too much that it was about cakes, something that I've never been interested in before.
So as an entrepreneur, you thought, here's my chance.
Here's my chance, yeah.
But your mum did something quite unusual that was mould breaking at the time, especially.
Yes.
Didn't she?
Yeah, very inspiring. She was the first Asian female driving instructor in the whole of the West Midlands at the time. Now,
wow.
For her, her story was amazing, and growing up watching her be that businesswoman was just, it was cool. It was cool to see your mum do that.
So that must have been inspiring in its own right.
Yeah, but I didn't realise how special it was until years after. You don't realise at the time as a child, and then she sadly passed away. That's when it became more and more evident that actually what she'd done was quite what's the word, epic and legacy kind of stuff.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
But you have great memories, right?
Yeah, of course.
So of an individual that inspired you.
Yeah.
So she sourced the business, as in she had her contacts that wanted to sell you the business.
Yeah.
So you decide to seize that opportunity.
Yeah.
And go for it.
Yeah. So I left my full-time job at that point.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what?
And you thought, I can knock up a few cupcakes, right?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I
Genuinely thought it was easy as that. But oh my God, on day one, I'm sitting there They put me in the kitchen. I wasn't even in the main kitchen. I was put in the wash kitchen. So I was for 12 hours, I was just washing pots and bowls all day long for 12 hours. And I was ready to give up on the first day, I'll be honest, because it was hard work, standing on your feet 12 hours. Because I'm used to an office desk, sitting, having a set lunch, having breaks every 2 hours, all of that. But on that day, oh my God, I could have cried. I'm pretty sure I did probably cry.
But, the owners probably knew something, that it's a great way to start. Because I think part of being in business, and you've been doing it for a while now, is that you should get to know all the jobs that need doing, right?
Definitely.
And then you appreciate things.
Definitely.
So it's a good, they did a great job of starting you there, right?
Definitely. Oh God, good. They had me washing the floor, everything, and that's what was needed.
Yeah.
And to this day, like a few years ago, when I was still doing everything from the floor cleaner to the kitchen cleaner to the making cakes to presenting the cakes, I guess that's with any business, you have to be able to do each role to be able to lead on those roles.
Yeah. So, if you're working for a large company or a corporation, for those of you that do, you'll have a specific role, and that's all you do. But a business owner, many hats, right?
Yeah, many hats.
And how did you get on with that?
I struggled with physically. I struggled with the physical aspect of standing on your feet for 12 hours, and there was no glamour. There's no glamour. Yeah, you're not seeing. I wasn't looking at any customers. I wasn't seeing any customers. I was not doing the fun stuff. I was literally baking non-stop and washing bowls non-stop. But then, as you go along, you start looking at the other aspects of the role and learning the craft, because don't forget, at this point I knew nothing about cakes.
Of course.
I had to go back to studying. I had to go and get the cake qualification. But to be honest, I've always said I've learnt more on the job than I did in the actual studying of the theory part of baking.
Sure. The thing is that very often those that teach have never actually done the job.
Yes, that's exactly what I found.
So you learn the theory of those things, and as you said, on the job. But that can be an expensive way to learn as well, can't it?
Of course it can.
Those mistakes cost money.
Oh yeah.
So there's room to be in a classroom.
Yeah.
And there's room to learn on the job. So you're washing dishes, you're baking cakes. So how long is it before you take over the business and you come to the front of house?
I think within about 6 months, I'd like to think, yeah. But it was phased, so slowly as I'm washing dishes, okay, you go front of house, you deal with that customer, identify the needs of that customer, what they want from a cake. That's when I can understand how we're going to be able to produce a cake once we know what their needs are.
And was that from the previous owners are still there? How long did they spend with you?
They were there for a couple of months. It's kind of hard to remember now, but like a couple of months. There was a crossover period of probably about 4 or 5 months, I'd like to think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you kept all the staff on?
Yes, kept the staff on, but there was a lot of their own family staff, so they all went.
So what happened there? How was I'm just wondering how the transition happened. Did more of your family join?
Yes, my brother, my mom, even my dad got involved elements of it. So it was all hands on deck.
A real family affair, right?
Yeah, of course.
Brilliant.
Yeah, we were all there learning the trade and thinking how we're going to do things our way as well, do our own little twist on things. So.
Okay. And how do you interact? Because obviously dad's in charge, or maybe mum's in charge at home, right?
Yeah.
Who's in charge at the shop?
You know what? My mum was so special at this. She was really good at being the boss, but then allowing us to do what we needed to do. She knew what she was doing. She learnt. She was actually the first one to learn the baking bit of it.
She's an entrepreneur at heart, right?
Yeah,
or
like
a manager, or whatever you want to call her, leader.
Leader, because she was a driving instructor as well as a social worker, so she was juggling as well as a full-time mom, a mom as well, so she was juggling it all. And I'm thinking, looking back at that now, how she done it, I don't know, but she obviously taught us the way, but knew when to put a step back and let us make our mistakes. And I do remember making mistakes in baking, and she's like, look, you've done it wrong, here's how to do it again.
Fabulous.
And that was special. Looking back at it, that's real special.
How long did your family work with you in the business?
So my brother was with me for a couple of years, but then he had a child, and then he wanted to go back into his full-time profession.
What does he do?
He's IT.
Okay.
IT person. I don't know what he does in IT. He's just IT people.
What do they
do? Yeah, what do they do? Just look busy on a computer. But he went back into that to have the whole 9 till 5 life, because our cakes, it was not 9 till 5. It was baking at 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, and finishing at midnight and doing it all over again. It was very unsociable, weekends, evenings. And
I know you do weddings and those kind of cakes now, but is that how the shop was when it first started, or were you just bakers that people came in and bought?
No, it was always birthdays, mainly birthdays and wedding cakes.
So you'd always done celebration cakes?
Always, yeah, from day one. That was what the trade was, and before all the franchises came along, we were the only eggless in our region.
Oh wow!
Yeah, the first
so real
ones.
Pioneers again.
Yeah, yeah.
And was the shop already doing that, or was that something you guys introduced?
They were already doing that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So real pioneers in that area, right? So we know that the worst job that you had was washing those dishes and all the rest of it. Yeah. What was the best job?
Oh, the best job. Well, it's in the last few years, when I've got to meet celebrities who I've grew up almost idolising, and I've managed to meet them in a professional manner, and it's been amazing. That's got to be very glamorous, and it's been a good moment for us. Yeah.
Of course. So our viewers won't know this at all, and why would you? So this baker from Wolverhampton has been baking cakes for Floyd Mayweather. Yeah. Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
Who else? Go on.
Anthony Joshua.
Yeah.
Eddie Hall, the world's strongest man. Loads of Asian celebrities, Jazzy B. Satraj, yeah.
Yes.
Kamal Heer,
Uh-huh.
Waris. It's been amazing.
Fantastic.
There's more, but I just think a lot of it. There's loads
So
more.
you're a real celebrity cake maker.
It seems that way. Yeah.
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 So how does that happen? Because you imagine some huge company, I don't know where, but not Wolverhampton, right?
Not Wolverhampton, yeah, especially not like an Asian guy, perhaps. But so I'd been doing cakes for years and years, and then the first actual one was the author of Bend It Like Beckham book.
Okay.
That was years and years ago, and I remember getting
so. Grinda Chadha was the director. Did she write that?
No, there was Narinda Dhammi, I believe.
Okay.
And I believe she's from Wolverhampton as well.
All right.
So her mom orders this cake, and I remember being so excited about the thought of that. I'm making a cake for the author of Bend It Like Beckham. That happened. I'm like, wow, this can really go somewhere.
Okay.
Nothing happened for 2 years. For probably more than 2 years, nothing happened. I knocked that idea on the head. We're not going to be this celebrity cake maker. It's not going to just carry on doing business.
But it did occur to you, even at that point?
At that point it did, because it was a little spark thing in me thinking, that's maybe a market that someone's not tapped into yet. Certainly not where we live anyway.
No.
But nothing happened after that. So I carried on business as normal, and then had other local Asian celebrities want their cakes from me, but I wasn't allowed to publicise it.
Advertise the fact.
So again, it was like, great, it's amazing, but I'm always thinking, what's the next step from that?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing happened, and then all of a sudden I get the phone call from a very good friend who's got a management company doing an event for Floyd Mayweather.
Okay.
And he says, look, Floyd Mayweather's coming from Vegas to celebrate his 40th birthday, and we need a cake for him. Can you do it?
So he's coming to Wolverhampton?
No, Birmingham, sorry, Birmingham.
Okay.
Birmingham, yeah.
It's okay,
Yeah.
nothing wrong with Wolverhampton.
Yeah. And I said, okay, gave it a thought. For some silly reason, I said no to doing the cake.
As you would, because you're too busy.
Well, I was real busy doing wedding cakes.
For not Floyd Mayweather.
No. And I'm sure I had a case of the man flu coming on as well, so I was making up excuses.
Devastating, isn't it? Man flu.
It's serious stuff, isn't it? So,
yes, very.
But then I put the phone down. I'm thinking, what am I doing? Why have I said no to that phone call? Picked up the phone with, I think, pretty much straight away. I said, look, by hook or by crook, we'll get this done. I don't know what I'm going to do with the cake, but just leave it with me, we'll get it done. And then, so I've made this cake, went all out on this cake. Wide lights through the cake, all singing, all dancing. Really stressed me out, like it was a big deal. The more I thought about it, the more stressed out I was getting.
Mm-hmm.
Managed to do it, and then the event was amazing.
Okay. So you got to go to the event?
I got to go to the event.
You take your cake?
Presenting the cake, because it had to get built on site. It was that big. It had to get built on site, and I wanted to be able to present it to meet him, to be fair. So yes, done that, and then the news story, it went national, about the cake, and there was loads of photos in the press, professional photos got printed. I was like, wow, a lot of people are talking about the cake here.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what, I can change my marketing strategy now. I've got some ammunition, and it's an A-lister as well, Floyd Mayweather, you know.
Yeah.
So,
a worldwide superstar.
And just from there, I started networking and emailing people and just putting myself out there a bit differently. And it's amazing how many doors opened from there. So I really must say thank you to Andy Salt, who made that happen for me. So so thank you. He knows what he's done for me, and it's been amazing.
So when you're constructing a cake, because we were talking before the show that you actually have to go, like you said, on site and put it together sometimes. So do you get a spec from people? You know, I mean, I've seen Cake Box, right?
Yeah.
So some people come and they want this, and then other people, they just leave it to you. So what happens with these big occasional cakes? Because, you know, as we said, Mayweather is not the only person. When we'll talk about Sly Stone and company. Yeah. So do you get a spec, or do they just say, do what you want?
It really depends on what the event is. I mean, there's been times where they've been pretty precise about what kind of spec they want. So they wanted it to have the TMT on there. They wanted his name on there because it was his birthday. We needed the age on there, so that had to be on there. But a lot of times they've said, okay, for Anthony Joshua, for example, they said he's do a cake to celebrate being the unified champion. So we've got to have the 3 belts on there.
Okay.
That was literally the only spec. After that, because it was a carnival themed event, I added a carnival mask, feathers, added the Brazilian kind of colours to it, you know. So I was able to be creative with that. And that's, to be honest, for any creative, when they say to you, just do your thing, that's what all creatives want to hear.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, you can go crazy with it, and you know what? They can't say anything afterwards because that's what you've asked for us to do.
Brilliant. And so when that dream job comes in for a world superstar. Yeah. So what goes through your mind when that happens?
Oh, well, as soon as I put the phone down or email, I'm jumping up and down, and I'm like, I have to phone. I've got a certain couple of people who I'll ring who won't tell anyone, and I've got those couple of people I'll tell, look, don't tell anyone, this has come through, and they just give me that energy. I can share that energy with them and jump up and down with them.
Of course. You need people to celebrate with, right?
Yeah, and there's as this day and age, there's not many real ones. But once that's all done, once I've calmed down, I start planning there and then. I've done it where I've had the email the same night. It's 2:00 in the morning. I know that I'll wake up. Naturally, I'll wake up at that time and just start jotting designs down, start researching for the props and everything. And I'll go, like for the Arnie cake, I didn't sleep for months.
So that's Arnold Schwarzenegger, right?
Yeah.
Arnie is the guy down the pub.
Oh yeah, good old Arnie. Yeah.
So tell us the story. What was that for? And obviously what it is that, as I understand, these cakes are made for when these superstars are here in the UK.
Yes.
You don't fly them out to LA or anything like that,
yet,
right?
Yeah.
Not yet.
Yes,
I like that. Right, not yet, we don't.
No.
So what was the occasion for Arnold Schwarzenegger?
That was to celebrate 30 years of Predator, the film Predator.
Yeah.
So that's one film that my generation...
Iconic.
Iconic.
Yeah.
So from a creative point of view, to make a visual for that is not hard whatsoever. There's so much to that film. And it could have been done a million ways, but I watched it. I had to then... Once I put the email, again, that email was done, I was like, right, the first thing I'm doing is putting Predator on tonight.
Yeah, of course.
I'm finding it. And at the time, I think it was on Netflix as well, so it was brilliant. And I watched it that night.
Okay.
I'm jotting ideas. Because when you watch it as you're growing up, you don't think too much of it.
Well, you're not watching thinking, I'm going to make a cake for Arnold Schwarzenegger in 30 years' time, are you?
No. So I'm jotting ideas down, thinking I can do this, I can do that. And there's probably about 10-20 drafts of piece of paper that have been chucked away because in the end I don't do that, but the end piece was amazing. Even I loved doing that cake. There was so much to it. There was a Predator mask on there. There was the green eyes. It had the blood. I had to ask a few professionals how they get the blood made. And there's a lot of the Predators UK. They specialise in dressing up as predators and do short films.
Okay.
And I had to approach them and ask them, how do you get the the consistency right and stuff, and get it looking
So
quite
there's a
liquidy.
bunch of grown people that dress up as Predator.
Yes,
and
there's-
do what?
And they do a lot of cost. They've actually done short movies, so
Okay.
alternative movies, and it's a
Wow.
interesting bunch of people.
It's another world altogether, right?
Totally,
Okay.
totally.
So, you've done Sly Stone's cake.
Yes.
And what was that for? That was for Rocky, was it?
That was for both. It was for his birthday, his actual
Yeah.
birthday. That was for, but at the same time, that we're celebrating over 40 years of Rocky. So again, as a visual, that was totally left to me. Again, I have to say thank you to Steve and Alexi, who gave me that gig.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, just do your thing with it. And I was like amazed. They said, just do your thing. To me, that's all I want to hear is just do your thing. This is what it's for. So I was able to put the Rocky theme on there, but I also wanted to incorporate, the whole Stars and Stripes theme, the Italian Stallion, and I just wanted it to be bigger and better than Arnie's cake.
Well, huge movies, weren't they?
Yeah, huge.
Really iconic.
Iconic, yeah, and like the story of Rocky itself is, surely everyone can relate to that. I can certainly relate to that,
Well, you know how he started, right?
Yeah.
That he was offered that they wanted to buy the script off him for $15,000, and it all went up to $300,000-$400,000, and he said, "No, I want to star in the Rocky."
Yeah.
So that's the story. Wonderful story, isn't it?
Amazing.
So,
And he sold his dog. Like he genuinely believed in his story.
he sold his dog for $50.
Yeah.
Bought him back for how long? How much was it?
But I might be wrong with 30. I've got 35 in my head.
It's a few $1,000s.
Yeah, it's a
certainly.
few thousand. Yeah.
And the guy wanted the part in the film, right?
Was that what
Yeah. So in Rocky, the first one.
Yeah.
So Buck Kiss, I think his dog's name is.
Yeah, Buck Kiss, yeah.
Yeah. So that's his actual dog.
Yeah.
And the guy walking the dog is the guy who sold it to.
Oh, okay.
So that's what happened. So amazing story.
Amazing story,
story. And no wonder it's so iconic.
Yeah.
And the legend grows day by day, doesn't
It
it?
does. And I just remember standing next to him on stage thinking, oh my God, I'm standing next to Rocky.
What does that feel like?
Do you know what? It's surreal. It is surreal because if we've grew up watching these movies and they are the A-listers, aren't they?
Of course.
And I'm thinking, I've just shook your hand. I've been able to produce a product that I do for a living. That's amazing for me. The fact that I'm not there. There's obviously people paying a lot of top money to be there to meet him.
Absolutely.
But I'm there on a professional manner and just to meet him and get to stand on stage. And there's people rushing to the stage trying to shake his hand, and I'm like, I'm here. I've already done that. I've already seen him, already spoke to him, and it's just a massive privilege. And from a work point of view, this is my work. This is what God's put in my hands. This is the path He's given me.
Do you ever pinch yourself thinking, is this real?
All the time. I'm pinching myself now. I'm on the Kam Johal show.
You are indeed.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, that tops everything,
Yeah,
doesn't it, right?
it's up there. It's
After
up there.
this, it's finished.
It's all downhill from now.
Absolutely. That's it. That's the problem. You peak too early.
Yeah.
Right. But look, for our viewers out there, one of the things I talk about is the fact that, business transcends everything. You have an idea, and, it was that little cake shop, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That, your mum's friends said, would you like to buy it?
Yeah.
And that's been the vehicle, hasn't it? I mean, you had to put in all the work, you have to put in the hours, right?
Totally.
And you have a team of people. Nobody does it on their own.
No.
But the fact that you got yourself an education, and that I bet has helped you an awful lot in managing the business,
Massively.
right? Because baking cakes is one thing,
Yeah.
and we can learn that. And then when people go into business, it's usually because they're good at something.
Yeah.
They're a good technician of whatever it is that they do. But managing a business is a different story, isn't it?
Totally.
So talk to us about that, what management systems you have and what drives you, and then once you've baked a cake for these A-listers, what happens after that in your profession? What motivates you now?
What motivates me now is, one, what I've already done, and my child motivates me. When I look at him, I've tried and take him where I can to these. I haven't taken him to many events, but when I have, I want him to look back and not look so much at, look, we're all going to make money one way or another, but I define success as what I can leave behind and inspire. I'm hoping one day, when I'm not here or whatever, that someone, whether it's him or somebody else, looks at me and think, you know what, that guy done it. I'm inspired to go do something. It doesn't have to be cakes, it can be anything. Just that really inspires me. That's why I'm always up for new projects and new breaking the mold, because my history is that my mum broke the mold.
Yeah, definitely.
And to me, when I think about what she done, that excites me and that motivates me. So that's really my driving factor. And other than that, I mean, the management systems, I've got a marketing degree. I'm thinking, man, I've got a degree. I could be a high flyer advertising, marketing or press and communications manager. I don't know. But I've got my own business and I haven't got the budget to chuck at a communications officer. So why don't I be that person? So
Yeah.
I really buzz off the fact that I've gone to university, got a degree in marketing, and I'm able to use some of that to what I'm doing in my work and my life.
So, we talked before the show, and one of the things that you said was that you wanted to inspire other people.
Yeah.
And that's a wonderful, wonderful idea, because, it's that case of paying it forward, isn't it?
Yeah.
Your mum gave you these ideas and she instilled these values of leadership and being an entrepreneur, etc., because she led by example, right?
Yeah, and without even us knowing that she was teaching us, it was just like normal day-to-day stuff.
Well, it's every day. You're living it. It's your life, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right? So you're not going to school to learn it.
No.
Mum's doing it
Yeah.
every day. And so what message would you have, if there's somebody sitting, watching right now, what examples or what is it that you'd like to say to people?
I'd like to say, look, you if you really believe in something, it's a bit of a cliche, so I don't want to say too much like that. I'd like to phrase it, look, just keep going. Like, there was times where people were laughing at me, joking at me, look what you're doing, you're not a cake maker. You just give it up, go get yourself a proper job. I mean, I've lost relationships over, I genuinely have lost relationships over this.
Yeah.
They didn't believe in my vision, and I just kept going because I've got my own vision. I believe in it's something different, it's something that's of value, whether it's monetary, financially or otherwise. There's some value in what I'm doing.
Sure.
So I would say, look, just go ahead and do it, keep it up and just keep doing it. Like, I have failed so many times, I couldn't believe you. Like,
tell me about it.
I don't put it on social media, but if I could tell, like most people, they have a lot of failures, but I feel like I've had more than the average. But one thing I've always done is got back up, and I think again that's got to be my mom's inspiration. Yeah, she's always said just keep going.
And our community, we don't quit, do we?
No, we just
right
by any means.
Yeah, you've got to win, haven't you? Because the other thing is, what's the alternative? Yeah,
the alternative is here we go work for your family member, or you just.
And who wants to do that?
Well, it's not a bad life either, just having no headache, just you're getting paid regardless, Yeah,
but they don't get to meet Arnold Schwarzenegger, do they?
That is true.
Right, or Floyd Mayweather, right?
Yeah, that's
You're
true.
not going to be doing that, are you? Right, so, did you ever dream of meeting people like that?
Never in a million years, because you don't, do you? Look, I was in BT, I thought, you know what, my degree's done for the sake of having a degree.
Yeah.
I'm in BT, I'm working up the ladder. I could be a manager because I was covering manager. I could possibly be a manager one day. Realistically, I thought that's okay for me. And then from that to even making a cake in itself, be able to make a cake for my child or my nieces, and be able to say, no, you're not having that. You're going to have it like this, and be able to go all out. It's amazing. To me, that's amazing. Be able to just, there's no holds barred on that.
Yeah. A corporate career, I mean, obviously entrepreneurship and business isn't for everybody, but a corporate career wasn't for you?
No, I think it was. I enjoyed it.
Okay.
I went up the ladder quick, and I did get a kick out of it. I did enjoy it.
So did you not think, let's carry on, I'll do my 40 years or whatever it is, and they'll give me a pension and all that?
No, because at that time I was so hungry to be, I want my own business, my own business,
right?
Yeah. And at times I thought, what have I done? I've gone from going somewhere up a corporate ladder to looking, am I going to get paid today? Because there was times when I wasn't going to get paid.
Absolutely.
Totally.
Look, the thing is this, it's a rocky road, isn't it?
Yeah.
Pardon the pun.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like how you did there.
Yeah, but the thing is that there are ups and downs in business, and it's not easy, and it's not for everybody.
No.
Right? But the thing is to keep going, and there's not a single person that has their own business that hasn't been close to bankruptcy, or in fact been bankrupt.
Yeah.
Or has a time in their lives when they've not been able to pay themselves.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah. I pride myself on the fact that we've always paid our employees, regardless of what happened. Because it's your business. Because the thing is, when times are good, you get all the toys as well, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Oh God.
So when times are bad, doesn't matter. You have to tighten your belt a little bit, and that's a good thing, isn't it? So of course, before we talk about family, because that's very important to you. So no events at the moment.
All cancelled.
Everything's cancelled.
Even the events that are happening.
Yeah.
They're few and far between,
Yes.
and they are just small events for 15 people where the need for a cake, one, isn't really
just
there.
Donuts from Greg's, right?
Yeah, just that's it. It will do the trick.
Yeah.
It will do the trick. But,
okay.
So that's affected me massively. So
of course.
And as I organically went into the event side of things as opposed to the smaller events,
yes.
I went into the bigger events. It's made a massive impact on what I'm.
What are your thoughts? Because I've got lots of friends, and a dear friend of mine has a huge venue not far from here.
Yeah.
And weddings and things like that have just been ignored by the government. I mean, I've never worked out how it's logical to have 200 people in a pub.
Yeah.
All doing whatever, intermingling and all the rest of it. That's okay to open.
Yeah.
And yet a wedding where there's a sit-down meal, and the venues are huge.
Huge.
They can accommodate 1,000 people.
And you can social distance to some degree.
So you could have 200 or 300 people.
Yeah.
That could quite happily socially distance.
Yeah.
And so what are your views on that?
I just think, I do really feel for all those people like me, but I think those people who've got big banqueting suites, I do feel for them because they rely on the bigger numbers, whereas, if we have enough birthdays, small birthdays, we can keep ticking over. But really, some places are only built for like hundreds of people. So that's their only business. And I just think they need to be looked at. Some could argue that they've got a certain amount of financial wealth anyway, because they've got the hall in the first place. But
life doesn't work like that, does it?
No.
I'm in the property business.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people think that anybody with investment property must be a multimillionaire.
Yeah.
The fact is people have bought properties, they've got loans on those things, mortgages need to be paid.
Yeah.
Business, if anybody that's in business, runs on overdrafts and borrowing, and it relies on cash flow. You don't necessarily have to make a profit in business, but you need cash flow. So if they've got those venues, then there's likely to be the bigger the venue, the bigger the outstanding loan.
Yeah, and the bills, like the day-to-day running costs, like it's probably not worth them doing a small event for 30 people.
No.
Not worth
No.
putting the heating and lighting on.
And of course, like yourself, if you lose your team, lockdown ends tomorrow, weddings are okay, people buying cakes. You can't just suddenly turn the switch on, can you?
Of course not. No, it's not on day one. We're not expected to be full of events.
No.
It's not going to work like that, and it's not going to be. Probably won't be on day 30. Who knows? But that's why it's a very scary time. And I know people who've buried their head in the sand, and I used to do that. But you know what? Just do what you can just to get another job if you need to.
Do whatever it takes, right?
But
entrepreneurs are good at that. We know how to survive, right?
Once you've admitted to yourself, there's a lot of people who are like, no, don't worry, I've done it before, I can do it again. But we've never, in our lifetime, we've never experienced a pandemic like this. So.
No. Hopefully we never do again.
Yeah.
Right? So let's see where things go. And hopefully, some point next year, we get some kind of normality.
Yeah.
But I think things will change. Because we will learn, we'll adapt. Some good things have happened.
Definitely.
And you and I were talking again, before the show. So how will your business change, do you think, as a result of what you've learned from here?
From what I've learned is I've got off that hamster wheel. I was in that shop 8 days a week, waiting for customers. A customer might come in now. I better not go out for lunch for too long because a customer might come. I need to grab something from the shops. I better not go because someone might walk in. Now I've realised if I'm going to rejig things around, I'm going to do appointments only. I'm more accessible via social media. Just work smarter. Definitely going to be working smarter now, and not. I could be out there earning all the types. Other means of making money rather than just standing behind a counter when the cakes are done. I can chuck it out, resource, here you go.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? Like, just be more smarter. And that's what I've learned. I've got off that hamster wheel, but I don't think I would have got off that hamster wheel if it wasn't for this lockdown. So
we just carry on. You don't know any different.
You don't know.
So
you just carry on.
It was an enforced change.
Yeah.
So now we've all got to think, what comes next.
Yeah.
So tell me now about family, because you've got a 4-year-old son.
Yes, 4-year-old son.
Okay.
Love him to bits. He's, like I said, he's the driving.
What's his name?
Aryan.
Aryan. Okay.
Yeah.
Lovely name.
Thank you. He's just a bundle of joy, and like people ask you, I want him to be a cake maker. No, I want him to do whatever he wants, but have that, by any means possible, make it happen kind of mentality that I feel like I've got. Like, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Keep doing it and doing it, and just want him to be able to concentrate and focus like that. And if he can do that, then job done.
So you were talking about balance and spending time, and so I very guilty as a lot of entrepreneurs are of spending far too much time, building a business and not enough time with family.
Yeah.
But of course times change. That was a different time, and you had to be on the premises as you were, standing at the counter, or behind the till, etc. But now with technology, you don't always have to do that.
No.
And so, it's wonderful to hear that, as an entrepreneur, you can still maintain some kind of balance in life and work.
Yeah.
So is that really important to you?
Definitely, yeah. It's made you realise, I believe a lot of people have realised in this pandemic that what's more important, understand the priorities and be able to keep that going, not just because the virus is over, just keep it going, because I don't want to be one of these people to look back in 20 years time and think, yes, I've made a name for myself, I've got something to pass on, but I didn't spend any time during that period. And I think that's already happened, where I'm kicking myself because the work has been unsociable hours. I've been in London overnight doing cakes, and I've missed out on weekends. I've missed out on family functions. People have always said, "Oh, you're never at family functions." I've already had all of that, but I don't want that with my own child now. Like, I refused for that to happen and look back in 20 years time and think, I wish I was there. I don't want to be that person.
Well, we kind of had that with our own parents, didn't we?
Of course we did.
But each generation moves forward, and we learn that how to balance these things. So what does your other half do?
She's a project manager.
Okay.
Project manager, yeah.
So has her own job?
Yeah, has her own job, yeah. She was never involved in the business so much anyway. Just helped out on weekends and stuff.
So we come back, pandemic's over.
Yeah.
So how do you rebuild then?
Good question. I think start small again. The everyday birthdays, people are going to be gathering anyway for small birthdays. My supply chain will be more accessible now. Once it's all on day one, they'll be accessible, and just start on that. And in this period, I've been really going hard on the social media marketing and just making myself more accessible and letting people know this is who I am, if you don't know already, because I never really, we all have time, but I felt like I never put enough time towards marketing before. Now, with my marketing background, I'm like, I can do it. If anyone can do it, I should be able to do it. And I've got a portfolio that speaks for itself.
Absolutely.
I think so.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So my thoughts are, there's a lot of weddings and parties to catch up on, isn't there?
Yeah.
Right. So we probably have weekday weddings.
Yes. We should. That was all. To be fair, that was already happening.
Okay.
Pre-virus.
Right.
But I believe a lot of people know where they want to get married.
Yes.
So they won't compromise on that. They might compromise on whether it be a weekend or a weekday.
Yeah.
But they won't compromise on the suppliers they want, the place they want. So I think there will be a lot more weekday weddings. I also think people won't have the budgets where they were traditionally bigger. Then maybe they'll realise you don't need to have a big budget. They can do it on a...
Yeah, it's certainly made us review things, isn't it? And those big Asian weddings, I think that they're getting smaller as we go along. I mean, I'm not a big fan of small weddings.
Okay.
Yeah.
All singing, all dancing.
No, it's not that. I think number one is this, that we're community people.
Yeah.
you know, and the people that have small weddings are traditionally, you know, the host community. They've always had small, so we think we're learning something from them.
Oh, okay.
But the rest of the world doesn't do that.
Yeah.
Right? So they're family affairs.
Yeah.
And so we have family affairs. And so, you know, we've got people from our villages, people that our parents know. And I think weddings are a great time to meet people that you don't normally see.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I agree with that, definitely. I think what we'll find is that the smaller ones are getting smaller, but the bigger ones will just get bigger. The gap will be, like,
I guess so.
There'll be a bigger gap in the middle, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I get the fact that, you know, those that are getting married and saying, listen, we want just our friends.
Yeah.
But then, you know, your parents had friends as well, and you've been to weddings, right? So it's all of that kind of stuff. But I'm sure we'll work it out.
Yeah, it'll figure itself out.
We'll work it out. So post-pandemic, will you still have the shop? Do you still need that?
Well, this is the dilemma I've got in my head right now, is whether I need to have the overhead of a shop. Could I use the overheads of the shop to be spent elsewhere?
Yeah.
That's what I'm really having arguments with myself every single day.
Yeah.
Even right now, like, I'll go back and think, that's what on my mind constantly. And it's all in line with what happens. Like, you know, we're in lockdown now. How long will this lockdown go on for? What else will the government do to help us? You know, there's so much unknown right now. So
it's all up in the air right now. Okay. The thing is that when we look back at it, it'll be a small part of our life.
Yeah.
You know, it's a year maybe. And in the greater scheme of things, you know, we've gotten over worse things.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Right, and we'll get over this, and, you know, this too shall pass is a phrase that I have a lot of faith in.
Yeah.
And I use quite a lot in my life when things are not going fantastically well, as they inevitably sometimes don't.
Yeah.
So, would you expand the business? Would you go national? Would you go international?
I would like to, but the problem because I did, again, another failure. I did try and open up another outlet, but because I shot myself in the foot. A lot of my customers, they're quite personal to me, and they want to deal with myself and have the whole experience of me sitting down with them, and then organically, as my fame has...
I was going to say, you're the celebrity cake maker. I want you to make my cake,
right?
But
the thing is, like, I have staff who have been doing the cakes from the same day that I was doing cakes. Yeah. But the whole experience, they want me to be involved with from that cake. So that's where it's a bit tricky.
But Paz, you're a brand now, aren't you?
That's what I'm working on. Yeah, I'm working on. Yeah.
But you are.
Yeah.
You know, whether you realise it or not.
Yeah.
You know, it's your name out there.
Yeah.
You know, when you're with all these stars.
Yeah.
You know, so when you go and do that part, and that's all part and parcel of the business, isn't it?
Yeah,
So you understand why, you know, somebody's daughter or son's getting married. They want you to be there.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that, but I also get that, like, we might be doing the top end big events, but then there's still a market which I'm doing day in, day out for a regular customer who's been my customer for like 12 years and saying, text me, Paz, this is what I want, for like 5-10 people. That's also my bread and butter, do you know what I mean?
Pays the bills, doesn't it?
Does, yeah, and
right.
And like, to be fair, like, it might sound a bit cheesy or whatever, but when that child says, oh, thank you for the cake that you've made, oh, look, this is what he's made for you this year. Remember last year he made you that cake. It's just, that is everything, you know.
Sure. What about family? So do you bake fantastic cakes at home? What do you guys do?
You know what? Like, well, I baked my own wedding cake, didn't I? So yeah, it was.
Was that a good thing?
That was stress I didn't really need, looking back at it, but it was. People look at it and think, I've never done it again. So it's been a one-off piece. I incorporated a water fountain into a cake. It was over 6 foot. It had spinning electric motors, spinning tiers at the side. It was everything. Yeah, it was everything. It was everything.
Okay.
It was all singing or dancing. But
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So look, and so does your family cook? Does your wife cook? Does your son? Do you mess around at home?
Yeah, they all cook. My son, I would like to be, because he's 4 years old, I'd like him to get a bit more messy with the chocolate cupcakes and stuff like that. But he doesn't want to get his hands dirty yet. So
he's not going to be a baker, right?
Probably not. Okay. But let's see. I don't know. Anything's possible.
Time waits for no man.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're coming to the close of another show. Anything you'd like to say to the viewers today?
The viewers, one thing I'd like to say is that, you know, look, I broke the mold. There's not many Asian male bakers out there, but like I broke that mold, and I like to think that if someone's at home watching this or just heard or wants a career in baking and thinks, oh, it's not really a macho thing to do, or like, look, anything's possible. I had, I met Arnie. Arnie actually said to me, "You have outdone Hollywood," and that's my hashtag now. So
incredibly,
it's incredible. That's what And who am I? I wasn't even had a passion in making cakes or nothing. I just jumped into something, gave it my all, and look where it's got me. So
12 years, right?
12 years.
12 years from
12, yeah.
not having the shop to shaking hands with some of the most important people in terms of the movie industry, in terms of box office hits, right?
Yeah, massive. Yeah.
So incredible.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
there you have it, guys. It's time to end another show. So thank you very much for joining us. Business transcends everything. Go into business and it can get you absolutely anything. I'm not saying that business is for everybody, but entrepreneurship is, as I say, ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And we heard the story of Paz, Wolverhampton, and started out there. And now he's moving and shaking with some of the mega stars of this world. And he'll continue with that. This pandemic will be over, and it'll be in the past, and he'll start again. So if you're sitting there wondering, what it is that you can do, well, don't wonder. You can do absolutely anything that you choose to do. And that's my message to you for today. We'll see you again on the Kam Johal show very, very soon. In the meantime, take care.